So I'm going to be very careful to present a story which has got some kind of mystical element, but I'm going to keep them low. I'm going to keep it low. I don't want to fly off. I'm going to present this in a very kind of simple terms, in simple language, but a story that is extremely extraordinary. Let us begin the journey. You see, in Bengal, in early 1800s, lived a family, a very pious family, very devout, pious family, Brahmin family. They lived in a little village called Kamarpukur, which is about 60 miles northwest of Calcutta. A little village, very simple people, very pious, simple, well, middle class to poor family. Now, before I start the story of this great personality, let me just tell you something about his predecessors. A young person called Khudiram lives here. What is the unique feature about this simple man? He lives a very simple life. He's got some land which he cultivates and survives on the money. This person, the whole life of this person, look at the way he leads his life. It is so strongly God-centered rather than self-centered or materialistic life. It's a spiritually driven life. How does it become visible? Look, in every Hindu home, wherever you find, the center of attraction is no longer the television, but the shrine room. They say unless the deity that we are worshipping is looked after first, we won't even eat or drink. This is the discipline they show. They very clearly show the priorities. The priority is spirituality and not just the material existence. And this becomes visible in the story of this gentleman, this man called Khudiram. Very devout, very pious, devoted to the idea of God as Raghuvir, Ram, a great devotee of Raghuvir. Again, until Raghuvir is fed, until Raghuvir is looked after, the family won't even drink a drop of water. Devout, disciplined, with the priorities in the right way around, spirituality above a material living. Now, just show you the power of this gentleman. Because he was so honest and straightforward, at one stage he used to own a lot of land, and the landlord in that particular area for some reason decided to take some other person to task and ask Khudiram to become a false witness so that he can win a court case. And Khudiram said, I will not play ball. I cannot bear false witness. So the landlord got angry with Khudiram and said, oh, no. If you don't play ball with me, I'm going to pinch your land because I can extend my claim onto your land too. And Khudiram had to abandon his land. He abandoned the land and walked away with his family. And some other friend said, come, I'll give you a small piece of land which you can cultivate and survive. He said, rather do that. He left and walked. You see, the steadfastness of this principle-oriented personality was very visible. It is, you see, when you find such discipline in any family, that if you like, the groundwork has been done for the plant of spirituality to flourish. This is the background to this Sri Ramakrishna. So here is this Khudiram. He left his home, left his plot of land, and is living on a friend's land and surviving. Very pious. His wife was equally simple woman, very simple woman. In fact, guileless, nirdosh, completely guileless. No complication, very straightforward, very loving, very caring for the neighbors, very simple woman. Again, a marvelous place where spirituality can find roots and show itself, become visible. This is the father and mother of this personality, Khudiram and Chandramani. Now the story goes, see, this is a bit of mystical stuff has to come in to make story interesting. Now one day, see, when this wife was passing by a Shiva temple in the little village called Kamarpukur, this is in her own words. I am not exaggerating. I am very careful. The Kathakars in the future will exaggerate. I'll try and keep it to the minimum. She said, as I was passing by the Shiva temple, this small tiny, I've been to this place, Kamarpukur, it's a small little temple, literally 6 feet by 6, hardly a temple really. Just little thing with little Shiva ling inside. And she said, I was passing by. So light come out of the temple and come in huge waves and enter my body. And it was so dynamic, I couldn't bear the experience. And I fainted and fell down. and people had to lift me up and take me home. I did not know what happened to me, but from that day I felt I am with a child. This is a kind of magical beginning. Let must put a little magic and color. Otherwise the story becomes too black and white. We must make it colorful. So this is she says, I feel I am with a child now. And then after 9 months, and she bears the child. The date is Wednesday, 18th of February, 1836. In the home, on this very poor home of Khudiram, the conch shells were blown just before sunrise, announcing the birth of a child. This child, because they are devoted to the idea of Raghuvir, this child was named Gadadhar, which is one of the names of Vishnu. So they named the child using the name of Vishnu, Gadadhar. Now this child was very simple. At the beginning there is nothing extraordinary. He appears like just any ordinary child, goes to school, likes certain subjects, doesn't like some other subjects. He loves art and stuff like, all this play acting and memorizing all the epics. He loves all that stuff. And the one part he hates, which Sita will love, mathematics. He hates mathematics. He doesn't like the times table at all. But never mind, he survived school. So this young boy is being brought up. Now the colors, he begins to show his colors. You see, there is a saying in the Hindu tradition. A child shows his colors when he's in his coat. As soon as he gets out of his coat, he begins to show his colors, his characteristics. And the characteristics of this young boy are very special, very, very special. Let me tell you what happens when he's just about 7-year-old. One day he's walking the forest, paddy fields, not forest, paddy fields. He's walking through the paddy fields with other friends, and while he's walking, you see, he looks up. He sees lovely new clouds that are formed, dark clouds that are just being formed in the skies, and he sees a row of white herons passing by, nice, making a nice formation and passing by over under the black cloud. He just looks up. Now you see the magic, real magic of religion. This young boy, instantaneously, without any prodding, without any preaching, without any teaching, goes into the highest state of meditation without realizing what it is. He's a 7-year-old little boy. He looks up. Do you know what happens? This is considered the highest spiritual experience any human being can have. This is the height of Hindu philosophy. He has not heard the word philosophy, thankfully. This boy, at the age of 7, looks up and suddenly sees the whole world. You see, the thing is this is called spirituality. What is it? You see, we experience this world at this level and we are satisfied with it. We go to dream and we say this is kind of a weak state of affairs. And when we wake up, this is reality and we feel comfortable with this state of, if you like, experience. When spirituality awakens, the intensity with which you experience the universe goes off 1,000,000-fold, not even 10-fold, 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold. It shoots up and suddenly you see the whole universe in tremendous intensity, and what you see is the unity that, if you like, underpins this reality, one that controls everything. You become one with that, without any prompting, without any preaching, without teaching, without meditation. You experience tremendous intensity. Imagine living your life in such intense manner that this wakeful life appears to be like shadow. That clear vision, it's a most unifying experience, unifying, because now you touched base with the reality, your own nature, your own reality, as well as the reality that underpins this whole of this creation. You become one with that. There's an intense life-altering experience. The Hindu philosophers have classified this as the highest spiritual experience any individual can have. This is called Brahmadan. Brahmadan, this lovely term that's at the heart of Hindu philosophy, that says the underpinning to this reality is some principle that is very dynamic, that is your essential nature and the essential nature of everything you come across. That essential nature, you touch base with it. You realize you are that. You are one with the whole of this creation. You become one with reality. This is the most exciting experience, most thrilling experience. This little boy, at the age of 7, You see, the first card he plays on the religious field is the trump card, the ace. It starts off with a high, if you like, high note. Of the highest spiritual experience, the Hindus have been talking about, saying this is the highest, this is the peak, the height of spiritual experience. You see, there are many different levels of spiritual experiences. You can see God as a personality, you can see God as your inner self, but to see God as underpinning everything and everyone, including myself, is the highest of the high. You can't go any higher. It is a new non-dual experience. There is no differentiation anymore. You hit that jackpot right at the age of 7. He shows his colors. Of course, you see, this experience is so dramatic. What happens is this. This connection with the body appears such a trivial thing that you discard it. People think it's not some kind of epileptic fit that you kind of go and it's not trance. You become more intense than you can ever be. And for that intensity to become visible, the link with the body appears such a trivial thing that you cast it aside. You kick it aside. So you become completely like that, still. Become completely still. This is not some kind of mental illness. The level of experience is so dramatic and so contradictory to our living experience that the living experience is discarded. It's shot aside, pushed aside. That is the most dynamic experience. This little chap hits it right at the early stage, the age of 7. He hits the jackpot. And at that level, if you're standing up, you lose body consciousness. The body will topple over. Who cares for the body? You now touch base with reality. And the other boys were frightened. What happened to the little boy? Lift him up, take him home. And later on when he was asked, he told his parents, I was not unconscious. Oh no. There was a tremendous flow of bliss through my whole being. I was fully awake. It's not a dozy experience. You don't become unconscious. You become super conscious, not unconscious. This is what's called spirituality. He said, I was full of bliss. I could see the whole of this creation, but nothing but bliss. And I can no longer see the distinction. You see, the thing is, we distinguish. He sees the whole of this in one. He doesn't see the variation, he sees one. So the variation disappears. That is the unifying experience. And it is life-altering. So this little boy shows his colors. He belongs to the high note of spirituality. He is no ordinary person. In fact, let me just touch on this. His disciple, his principal disciple, became very world famous, called Swami Vivekananda, rarely talked about Sri Ramakrishna, rarely talked about him. He said, do you know why? At the best, I can show the breadth of his vision, the kind of comprehensive ideas of spirituality that he promotes. But I can never fathom the depth of his personality. I fail. He said, I fail. That's why I don't want to talk about him. He hardly talked about his master once or twice in his lifetime. He said, because the depth is so much, I will do him disservice if I do that. So I'd rather not do it. But of course, he can say that, but people like me will brattle on. We don't mind. Whatever happens, you see, we kind of shudder and we, like an empty tin, we shudder and kind of start rattling. So we rattle, never mind.